Life's lessons. Real life stories. Life's lessons told by everyday people. On the Plug South.
Say your name and spell it. That way I won't get it wrong when I put it up on the screen.
Okay. Now?
Yeah.
Okay. LaDawn, Leek, LaDawn, last name Leek. I capitalized the D.
Okay. I'll make sure I do it like that. First of all, in a brief minute or so, give a brief description or bio about yourself, like where you lived and who you was raised with, how many sisters and brothers, stuff like that.
Okay. Born and raised here in Rome, Georgia. East Rome primarily the first half of my life. I'm the oldest of 3 girls. Grew up in Greater Mount Calvary Baptist Church. With my grandparents. They're very active in the community, and I've over the years kind of dibbled and dabbled and followed suit. I'm one of those people that, I've done it all. I've cleaned toilets. I've sat it side by side with CEOs of companies, and but just somebody who overall have a heart for people, but still learning every day how to continue on this quest called life we're on.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Okay. So now let's get into this thing. The whole thing is about getting young, getting pregnant at an early age. How old were you when you first got pregnant?
When I got pregnant, I was 12. I delivered at 13, but I was actually 12 years old.
What grade were you in?
Summer of 6th grade, going into the 7th grade.
Okay. So now, you say you had a good family upbringing and everything. Mm-hmm. Were you the guy that you got pregnant by? Were y'all in a relationship, or were y'all just messing around and a mistake happened?
I kind of had a mission. It wasn't like a relationship. We was really too young to be in a relationship, but just because of the way that I was raised. The girls, peer pressure, the girls in the bathroom at school had been saying what they were doing and all of this. And I was saying I was doing it too. But me having a strong Baptist church upbringing that I have and learning and knowing the word, the 10 Commandments that I shall not lie for whatever reason just stuck out to me. And so first opportunity with this boy that I thought he was cute and he thought, I was cute and we call ourselves do whatever. I was like, I better go ahead and do this so that I won't be telling a lie in the bathroom to my friends at school.
Dang. So it was basically peer pressure.
That and me trying to really still, even at a young age, do right by what the word say and what God say. But that young mind, I was cognizant enough to know, and I had been taught and, had to rehearse and know the Bible, but not mature enough to be able to look at it overall and in its context. I didn't think nothing about, having babies out of wedlock and all of that, how that's just this, frowned upon. All I knew is I'm lying to my friends and I don't want to burn in hell for telling a lie.
Boy, that's hard. That is real hard. Okay. When you found out you were pregnant, what was it like telling your parents you were pregnant, and how did they respond to that news?
Oh, I didn't know because I had no idea. Like, you don't think about being pregnant, and that's something else I took into consideration when making a decision that I wanted to go ahead and have sex, is that I can't possibly be pregnant because I'm intelligent enough to know that if I haven't started my cycle, then there's no way that I could get pregnant by what I'm doing, by what I wanted to do. And so that being said, that's a lie. And I had no idea that I was pregnant. My mother had no idea that I was pregnant. I have my aunt, my mother's oldest sister, told, we were getting ready to move to Detroit. Mama was making a big move from Rome, Georgia, and we were going to move to Detroit. House packed up, everything ready to go, waiting on my Uncle Charlie to be off on that Saturday to drive to the U-Haul. My aunt told my mama, you need to take that girl to the doctor. She walking sway back. At this time, I was only 145 pounds, but No, nothing was showing stomach-wise. My aunt said I was walking sway back. I'm unaware of this conversation that they're
What
having.
is sway back?
Walking with my back like this.
Oh, so you can poke it.
I wasn't poking though. My stomach was flat as a board. But my aunt said that I was beginning to walk sway back. And so mama took me to the doctor. She did. Dr. Dilip Patel said I had a UTI. Gave me medication for a UTI and went on. So I'm like, UTI. Because I ain't never known that was wrong in the first place. I didn't know why I went to the doctor. This is a conversation they had before letting me know why I'm going to the doctor. Mama went back and she said, my auntie told her, So she told her to take me out to the crisis pregnancy center out on Redmond Road. And so mama did. And that's where I found out I was pregnant. And back to your question on how did I tell them and how did I react and how did they react?
Well, they found out when you found out.
I was scared as hell. I'm sitting there in this room with my mama and this older Caucasian lady, frail Caucasian lady. There's a picture on a model on the desk of a baby inside a egg, like a little, fetus. Mm-hmm. And the lady begins to introduce me to what I now know is something similar to the black market. And my mama was like, oh, no, blah, blah, blah. Did she go have to have this baby? It's going to be a part of me. She laid down and got it, blah, the whole story. And I'm sitting here thinking like, is she talking all this good stuff while we in here sitting with this lady? But when we get out of here, it is about to be on. But, I mean, it wasn't. It wasn't. And, we moved on from there to make appointments. Shortly after I got an appointment, my very first appointment, I found that I was 4.5 months pregnant with a baby girl.
Wow. So that conversation that you and your mother had when y'all left that office, it was just you and her, right? Mm-hmm. Can you remember that?
Yeah.
Getting in the car or whatever?
Who is it? Who did it? And I'm just sitting there like, I'm still, for whatever reason, not wanting to admit that I done did anything, but I mean, I'm pregnant. And she just kept on with that. And then I told her she didn't know who he was. She knew his family and this, that, and the third. And she was like, well, we have to go and let them know. But and we did from there. But it was just a bunch of questions, a bunch of whens and whys and hows. And I got in trouble because at the time she was working third shift at Floyd Medical Center. And that's how I was able to make it happen. We was living down in Graham Homes. He lived on one street. I lived on another. I'm like, look, she gonna be going to work after this thing. And my sister gonna be asleep. And so.
How many times did y'all did it before?
That time. That was it.
Time?
Yeah.
Wow. So I can see what you said. You said, I can't be pregnant.
Yeah. And we didn't even, I don't know how graphic you want this to be, but it wasn't even really did it because, at the initial whatever. And I'm like, this cannot be what them girls in the bathroom talking about. Is so fun.
So
it was like an attempt. It was like an attempt. And I'm like, yeah, no, this is that where it.
So it wasn't no penetration.
All the way to it. All the way to the point that at my first appointment, technology wasn't being as it is now because we're talking 31, almost 32 years ago.
Right.
And, they, to do their initial, testings on stuff or whatever, it was found that, let's put it like this, they had to finish removing my hymen because it was all over halfway still intact, which means what the old folks say is true, what Coach DeAngelis taught us at East Rhode Junior High is true. That pre-stuff, that fumbling around stuff is just as potent, if not more potent than the actual thing. And I really feel like that's...
Well, like foreplay, stuff like that?
Trying to fumble around. We don't know what we're doing at this time. Right. We're 12 and 13 years old. I'm 12, he's 13.
Yeah, because that was one of my questions. How did you even know?
We didn't know.
How to do sex?
We didn't.
It was just from...
Yeah, he did. Now, at another time, and probably off camera, when I tell you who he is, he knew.
How old was
he was older? He was a year and a half. Matter of fact,
so y'all in the same.
I take that back. 2 years. We are 2 years and exactly 1 day apart. His birthday is the day before mine.
So you was like, his sperm can't be. Y'all hadn't reached.
We didn't even think. Yeah, I'm not even like really thinking along those lines at that point. I just want to do this act, whatever this act is, so that when I get to this junior high, because I'm moving from elementary to junior high, when I get to this junior high, I done did it.
So do that make women think they grown?
No.
Young girls think they grown when they have sex?
I am an overthinker, and I always have been. So I was really trying to think this thing through. I thought I had the perfect plan not to end up in hell for telling a lie. Because I'm not a liar. I've never been a liar, but I was telling a lie.
Okay, my next question is, did you experience any physical problems throughout your pregnancy?
Afterwards, and it's very true that the brain controls the body in so many senses. Because beforehand, remember me telling you I'm 145, same height I am now, about 5'8", 5'9", stomach flat as a board. But the brain was aware that the body is pregnant.
It was like blowed up.
I'm talking about beyond control to the point where I got preeclampsia is what they call it. Severe swelling. My stomach, I had stretch marks to the point where my skin was literally splitting open.
Oh my God. Yeah, they don't think about that. It changes to the body.
And mine happened fast. When I went in for delivery, they weigh you before you go in for delivery. Remember, I told you I was 145 at that first appointment. I was 250 when I weighed in the hospital. So in 4.5 months, I gained 100 pounds.
Ooh-wee. Okay. How did your lifestyle change once you had the baby? Like the baby's here. How did your parents and did you have a daddy?
He's deceased. He was deceased long before this, and it changed.
It was just you and your mama and them then.
It changed a lot. Mama still was working third shift, and so here I am. And even though I was I've always been very responsible. I always looked out for my little sisters. And stuff like that when mama was working or whatever. I kind of became like the man of the house at a very young age.
Were you the oldest?
I'm the oldest. For other reasons outside of my pregnancy, I have had to be that take charge kind of person. But that being said, so now we got school into play. And, inside schools and in the community, people think I'm just this super smart person. I just read a lot and pretty logical, but education is something that my mama have always prioritized, and so did the other people that that were in our village of people. And so now we got to try to fit school in these. And so mama worked third shift.
What month was it when you found out? Was it like summertime or was school you was getting ready to go to junior high?
I was getting ready to go to junior high, so I finished the rest of that school like I had started, but then it was just because remember I told you she had already withdrawn us from schools because we were supposed to be moving to Detroit. So I just didn't go in that year as I was supposed to, which eventually ultimately threw me a year behind, but. It changed because now when school starts back, after I had this baby, not long after I had this baby, she been up all night and now I got to get up and get ready and go to school. But then my mama been up all night too because she works, so she can't go to sleep, and here's this baby. And so it became this rift to where I started, missing a lot of school, a lot of tardies, things like that. And it wasn't recognized or understood in the school system then like it is now because it was just so rare for it to happen. Yeah, they have programs now, but that's how I ultimately ended up quitting. Long story short, how I ended up quitting school and just going to take the GED because of tardies due to absences, doctor's appointments, things like that. They couldn't be approved even though I have documentation because it wasn't me that was at these visits, it was my child, and so they wouldn't approve them, and they put me in school suspension and told me that I would be there. And then I was like, who finna sit in here like that? And so I just waited till I was 16. This went on for a couple of years. I was 16, and then I had to beg them because nobody wanted to sign me out. Like my GPA was good and everything. Straight, I quit school with straight A's and B's. But I worked at first. Now at 13 years old, I wasn't even old enough to get a job. But my mama worked at the hospital around doctors and nurses and stuff like that. And so I was like, even her father wasn't old enough to get a job. So I'm like, find me somebody house to clean. So I cleaned houses for doctors and nurses from 13 until I was 15, where I put my age up at the Crystal, and I worked at the Crystal until I was 16 and old enough to start moving around into different jobs.
Serious, yeah. Well, all right. How did the baby fall?
He started going to YDC and all this other stuff and became a ward of the state. I can say that his mother, up until she got sick, she did the best she could on her part, because my mama stance and my stance on it at the time was to try not to. Mama couldn't apply. We couldn't apply for like no public government benefits. Because me being a minor, they're going to go by my mama's income, and she's over income, so we can't get anything. Right. And so just going right out and doing child support, the way the law was set up with him being underage, they're going to put his mother in charge of having to pay his child support, and she was sick and doing the best she could. But there were several family members who might have been getting their hands on stuff that they didn't belong to them, but it would be to benefit, if needed, me and his child as much as they could possible.
They did what they had to do.
Until I got to the age where like I ain't pushing it. My mama would push it, but I wasn't pushing it. Once I got 17, I realized as long as you had a baby, you can get a project, and I moved out. And from then on, I never asked for nothing else. Whatever came. Whatever did, and then I just did it myself.
So when you first told the baby daddy that you were pregnant, how did he respond?
He was happy.
Oh, you didn't get none of it, ain't mine? Or you should leave somebody else?
Because in the midst of all that, now we're having to stay with people. Because mama's like, I can't leave and go to Detroit where I know nothing and nobody, and you're pregnant. Baby, yeah, and you're pregnant, and she's familiar with the community here and the doctors and all that stuff. So now we're here, and now we're staying with people. And he would walk from like East Rome to South Rome with a friend of my mom's that we were staying at, or wherever we would stay at, and we, spend long evenings together talking and, whatever and all this stuff. But he also had another child on the way at the same time, so it got kind of complex for him.
How did that make you feel?
I didn't care one way or the other, because it wasn't like it was
I wasn't all in love. So when he used to come hang out with you, how did you treat him? Did you develop any feeling for him after the baby and how he stepped up?
Not in a intimate kind of way, like where I want to be in a relationship kind of way, because I've always been very observant. And the person that he was with, they were in a relationship. And from my understanding, he was living with her and all this, that, and the other. And so I see how that is going from afar. Why would I?
Right.
That's my dog, though. That's my dog, though. We have always been like the best of friends.
Okay. How did being a teen mom affect you mentally? Did you go through any depression, anxiety, or anything like that?
I have dealt with generalized depression. It's progressed over the years, over many other different kinds. Because in all actuality, it was like a traumatic experience. It became...
What triggered the depression? Like, I can't go to the prom, or I can't go to school, or my friends, that type of stuff.
I think it may be, some of it may be genetically just there anyway. And the highs and lows of just hormonal changes being pregnant may have brought it on. But my depression, it would be something that's more internalized. On the outside, nobody would ever know. A lot of people will probably watch and see this and not ever know that there was a time, and have been times, that I've been very, very severely depressed. Because I'm one of those people that do the exact opposite. I might sit there and lay or whatever, don't feel good for a minute, but while I'm sitting there in that, I'm thinking of the next plan. I'm thinking of the next way out. I'm thinking of the next way to do things and change stuff around. I'm watching everybody that's around me these the type of people that I'm surrounding myself that have absolutely nothing to do with the vision I have for myself or my child. I'm learning what to and what not to do by way of them. Because my mama wasn't street. I learned the street and survival from the streets and watching and surrounding myself with those people.
So your mother was highly educated and, and it was like, that's a good thing.
Yep.
That's a good thing. All right. What did being a teen mom teach you, and what would you have done to do anything any different? Would you have done anything different?
I can't say that I would. It was a path. It was a mountain climbing path. Things that are showing up now that child at the time is an adult, and I can see where I missed the mark on certain things. Don't get me wrong, she's phenomenal, and she's a phenomenal mother, and this, that, and the third. But there's certain things that are right there in that maybe birth to 6 or 7 years that I wish I would have had the opportunity to put in her sooner. That way, when she was going into her teens, it wouldn't have been a question mark for me as to how to approach her with these things or this information or this. So I secluded her away from a lot and kind of kept her, close to me. Whereas if she had been introduced, I pretty much became a helicopter parent because I had a very strict mama. I had a very strict mama. Yeah, I had a very strict upbringing, and to a certain extent, I'm grateful for it now. To a certain extent, some of the stuff that I've encountered and hard roads I've encountered and things I've questioned, if I had been introduced to it at an earlier age, it wouldn't have been so surprising, or it wouldn't have been something that I'm curious about.
So, 30 years later, the 30 years you raising your daughter, when she got to be 10 or 12, like you were saying then, you were like overprotective and this and that. Did you tell her about getting pregnant and tell her about stuff and kept it real with her? Because you young too still. What, y'all 12, 13 years apart?
Yep, we're 12, 13
So
years.
it's like sisters,
But it's not, because I was very adamant about not having the type of relationship.
That mama, that friend, that's how I deal with my son.
I would always tell her, I'll be your friend once you grown. Once you're grown, I can be your friend. Right now, I have a job to do.
Exactly.
I have 18 years to put everything in you that I'm supposed to be putting into you, mind, body, and soul, before you can go out to the world. And whatever you do, that's whatever you do. But I would always tell her, and then I have 2 other children, but I tell them, I'm not going to tell you not to have sex. I'm not going to tell you that you shouldn't be doing whatever, because I did that. But I will say, when you're ready, let me know when you're ready, and I'll make sure that I provide you with everything you need to protect you from whatever. Because they always told me, don't come here with no baby, but they didn't never tell me how not to.
Wow, that's a good one now. So did you ever experience, so you and your daughter, y'all was real tight, and did she listen to everything you say? Because now, some kids at a certain age, they do the opposite of what you say. When they get a little
and she's done that, but not in anything
drastic like that.
My children didn't talk back to me. She never talked back. Never none of that. And it be most stuff now that she might say that I'd be like, "What did you? I'm your mama," and I have to be like, "She ain't no kid no more." You know what I'm saying? She ain't not no kid no more. But yeah, very respectful, very mannerable kid. Did what she was supposed to do in school. Graduated school and has some diplomas herself. Even post high school and things like that. Business owns her own business. So it's just a lot of itty bitty things that I wish.
So you did a good job. So now 30 years later, she's self-functioning.
Yeah.
Because like I was telling my kids that I said, my job is to teach you all this stuff like what you were saying. Because I'm going to be gone one day and you're going to be out here by yourself.
Yep.
And everybody ain't going to do what your mom and your dad are going to do for you. They'll say that if you ever need it. But when you need it, you can't find it.
You ain't going to be able to find it.
And they break your heart.
Yep.
So that was a good success story then. So, so how would you see a granddaughter or some of your friends, your grandkid friends, how old is your grandkid?
My oldest grandson, he'll be 14 in May. The middle one is 9. The baby is 2. And I have one that I could probably get a phone call now that she's going to deliver my 4th grandson.
My middle child. Any boys?
They all, my youngest child is a boy. He's 23.
And you got 2 girls?
2 girls and a boy.
Okay. Because that's the main thing. I mean, what do we say to the younger people to try to prevent them from doing that?
Educate them and just let them know that you understand. The thing that I can say led to my curiosity is because, for one, I was primarily raised around old people. I grew up 320 East 15th Street. The only time I got to go across Maple Street to the other side was to go to school.
Oh boy.
But, and also be mindful, and this is just me, of the spiritual realm. The generations that not necessarily what you come from, but what is the rest of your family and people like in the other side of the family. Because my mama was, you know, some of her friends may differ on stuff I don't know about, but she was not the me. And she would always say, "Girl, what's wrong with you? I don't know where you come from. Yeah. Why you act like that? You weren't raised like this." But I mean, and you know, one of my cousins, like, DNA don't play. I'm Glanton and Kent on one side, Carthren and Mathis on the other. I mean, Mathis and Brown and all that on the other side. So some of those things, those generational things, I might didn't get to her, but it came right down through to me.
Yeah.
And so just by impulse, I was led to be curious about a lot of stuff. And out of that curiosity, I can't come to you because y'all so closed off on stuff. You know, buy the books, it got to go like this, and you ask the question, there's just some stuff ain't none of your business. You know, well, I'm going to find out whether you tell me or not.
And a lot of times you already know.
I already know, yes.
How much do you think drugs play in teen pregnancies, like nowadays? You know, because you heard the thing to say that they wasn't getting that love at home, so they went and found it somewhere else. But a lot of times your friend be like, "Try this, man," you know, or
I think it play a big part because David is out here doing something. It is going down out here right now, and they. I mean, I'm even hearing stuff about mood and sexual enhancing drugs and stuff that you can just even get out of the corner store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, at y'all age, why do you even need that? I'll be 46 and I don't need that. Like, what is the deal? So I can say it take a lot to play in it. Everything have to be glorified right now. You know, people paying hundreds and thousands of dollars to get bodies that a lot of us came here genetically predisposed to, which is all. I don't want to hear a lot of times that it'll make me feel better about me. Yeah. Well, do you need the validation of somebody saying that you look good and this, that, and other? Because I was born with some stuff that people are paying a lot for, and I ain't never thought, like, you know, that's right there. That makes me such a better person. Get real. It's something deeper than that. So, you know, a lot of times people end up strung out on drugs and stuff, and I'll say that as in respect to the opioid crisis. By no means are they on multiple surgeries and stuff like that. It led them to be dependent on painkillers. But a lot of that stuff, it was the gateway era. It's the influence era of walking themselves into something and who can get the highest.
Right.
I've seen every end of that spectrum. And so when I hear young girls or even, you know, young adult age women and, you know, they're venting and talking about single parent life, I get it. I understand. I empathize, but I don't sympathize. Because once you step into that, no matter what thrust you into that category, you have decisions to make and you have to act upon them. What I've been doing for the last hour and a half before I even came to this interview, door dashing, and I have a very good job. I would sit on my behind and work from home from shop. I gotta get it, because guess what? My children are very responsible children and take care of themselves, but there's things that I want to do, you know, outside of that. I missed out on a lot of saving and being irresponsible with money and things like that. So I'll be 46. I gotta prepare for retirement. Who gonna take care of me? Because I've never been that one to say, no matter if either one of them becomes so successful that they become millionaires, it'll never be on my agenda that now that I'm old that they need to take care of me.
Right. Because a lot of us don't know that we're gonna always have property tax. We're gonna have to always pay for insurance for your properties and vehicles, and it's always money. I mean, everything costs.
Always. You can have the best healthcare insurance right now. You still gonna pay for medication.
Sure, yeah.
You gonna save for whatever, and I don't want them bogging down their life taking care of me if I get old and feeble. Put me somewhere like the Spires. It gotta be nice though. Put me at the Spires. You know,
because some kids ain't gonna be able to take care of their parents.
And I wouldn't want them to unless that's just, you know, whatever.
Right, right. Let me, you know.
And so those are the kind of things that they have to think about. It's more than just my child got on Gucci, Fendi, whatever, and I paid $4,000-$5,000 for their birthday party this year. I mean, that's ludicrous.
Okay, how do we deliver the message to these young girls about getting pregnant? Because there are over 30 forms of protection. You know, because with the abortion debate, it's like a lot of these girls are using abortion as birth control.
It's a method of birth control.
And it's like, dang, you got 30 forms, you can get that thing put in your arm. Everybody's body can't take that. That lasts for 3 years. You can do all you want. You know,
unless you can teach them how to discipline themselves at the gate. It's all about discipline in whatever area of your life. Because you can, because there's flip sides even to all those different types of contraceptives. Is it going to give you a hormonal balance? And now you're disturbed mentally and depressed and distraught or whatever because they got this thing in your arm. Yeah. Or you so further that stuff don't even work. I know 2 people who got the thing right there and still end up with babies. He go leave and go on about his business. Go on about his business. He might double back. He go play with the baby, take the baby to the park, take a picture.
Just get something.
But it's that in between. Where you at 2 o'clock in the morning, that baby running a fever. Right. And you don't know what to do. Tie flat on the car.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? It be those kind of things that you have to take into consideration. And I feel like it'll take more of us on this end of the spectrum. It's so many people that'll probably view this now whenever you get it ready that never knew this part of my story. Never knew. Because as many people as I try to get it to, there's 3 times that many people that I haven't had the opportunity to reach.
Yeah, because you broke it down. That was real deep because it was like you said, you didn't know if he penetrated.
That's what I'm saying. That's almost some Virgin Mary unheard of type stuff.
Right. Dang.
I am the least likely, if you speak to any of the pillars in this community that knew me prior, that knew who I come from and what they stood for and this, that, and other, I am the least likely person that would have had a child. Okay. Least likely. Well, can quote that Bible back and forth, have spoken places all over, you know, and this, that, and the third, but didn't have the common sense to know that, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it be. It be all trial and error. A lot of people only know that. I mean, they be like, shoot, you done. I done did my time. I done bent your test for it. I done kicked in my door 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
I done sat up at that counter more than 90 days. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I done did everything but smoke dope and be gay. And I'm not ashamed to say it. Because if it took for me to go through all of that to get to where I am now, I'll do it again. And if my testimony and my story will help just 1 or 2 people change their mind or their insight or perspective on things, I'll do it all over again.
Yeah, we got to reach them some kind of way.
And I still ain't there yet. Who's to say that I go out of here, go home and get oh my God, what is going on in the world? And I lay in the bed all day and cry and pray and think. But the difference is I get up and I refuse to just stay down.
Life's lessons. Real life stories. Life's lessons told by everyday people on the Plug Salad.